Hello everyone, I am Vinay Srivastav, the host of your favorite podcast, Wincast. I am back with another episode of my podcast. During our leadership journey as a leader, you must have heard, or maybe sometimes even you must have complained that you are not getting good leaders, or probably those whom you have shortlisted, they are not developing enough, they are not taking the responsibilities, they tend to make more mistakes. I just wanted to draw your attention towards the fact that are we giving them enough space? Are we empowering them? It happens many a times that though we make them or nominate them as a second line, but we are not willing to share our powers with them. We always tend to micromanage them. We are constantly hovering around them and constantly trying to see what they are doing in the pretext of knowing if everything is going right or not. I really feel that there's a big issue of space not being given to our leaders or even to us by our superiors sometimes. The space which is much needed to work independently, the space which is needed to take decisions, the space which is needed to fail. And this is something which is not allowing them to grow. I recently commented to somebody said that I will not attempt this because I failed the last time. And I just said that fail better this time. Though it was said in the jest, but still, think about it. When we delegate, we constantly put terms and conditions around the delegation. We constantly put certain riders. We do not allow them to take certain calls. So they are always working within that framework. And the point that I am trying to mention here is that space aspect is missing. If they stretch their hands, they will find us somewhere nearby only, looking at them, trying to find them. And we also cannot resist the temptation of telling them the mistakes that they have done instead of encouraging them. If you see a keyboard, I'll draw an example to the keyboard. The keyboard which is said to be the basis of all our communications on our laptops, on mobiles, on iPads. Even in that keyboard, if you see the first letter of a QWERTY keyboard, QWERTY, stands with Q. So in communication, we constantly are asking questions. We are constantly asking questions. We are not allowing them to live in peace. And the last letter of the QWERTY keyboard is Y. After asking them the questions, we ask them, why have you done this? Why have you done that? The last letter of the middle row of the keyboard is L, which is listen. We hardly listen. We do not listen to what they are saying, where they are going wrong. And constantly the endeavor is to tell them where they are wrong. If you also notice in the keyboard, the biggest key at the bottom is the space bar. Why is this the largest key in the keyboard? Because the space bar is something which is closest to you. The space bar is something which makes it easy for you to access it. So even in this communication also, the space is given so much importance. It has to be accessible, it has to be big. And I've read somewhere that this is in line of Fitts law, which states that larger objects or targets are easier to hit. So even though in our communication keyboard, the space bar, which is the biggest bar, which is the closest bar to us, but in practical life, we are not using this space bar. In practical life, we are not giving space. And this does not apply only in our leadership journey, it applies everywhere. Everywhere, a certain amount of space is needed for growing. If you put two plants very close to each other, they tend to mingle and then they lose their identity. If you give them space, then they grow and they grow well. Thank you for listening to me. If you have liked this episode, please leave your comments and share your feedback, and I would soon come with another episode of Wincast. Thank you.